Hi, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome back. I am Lanisha Renee, the CEO and lead business coach and marketing consultant at LR Consulting Firm. And we are back with a framework for sustainable entrepreneurship, the Ladies Edition. So, we're coming back now to talk about the second topic. The first one was talking about branding, and how brand comes before the business structure and understanding your brand, what it means in your marketing, in your industry. So today we're going to talk about brand consistency as a revenue strategy and why it is so important to have brand consistency, brand equity, and what that means. You can have negative brand equity, positive brand equity. We do not want negative brand equity. And then brand recognition and customer loyalty, brand alignment, the common branding mistakes, and the sustainability that's associated with your brand. So let's get into it. I'm so excited to talk about branding because it is definitely a lost art and a lost foundation when building a business. Importance. So again, we're going to talk about brand consistency as a revenue strategy and why branding is the foundation of sustainability. Okay. This session, I am hoping that you all will take from it why branding focuses on execution and not the theory of branding. And the theory of branding is, oh, I need a logo and my logo needs to be designed this way. But you have to have consistency when we're talking about your brand across your business and operation. So, today, we're going to discuss a few points. How consistent branding shortens the buyer journey, which, if you're building a business, you definitely need to look into sales pipelines, buyer journey. Those are just different terms that you need to understand in business in general. And then the connection between brand recognition and customer loyalty, because a lot of times customers, consumers, and clients, they buy from you or become a part of your target audience because of how your brand is set up, how it resonates with them. And on top of what pain point are you solving for them? What service are you supplying? What products are you supplying? But how you're doing it. That's very important. And then internal brand alignment, what I said earlier, alignment in operations, marketing, sales, and the language that you're speaking. And then the common mistakes that dilute your brand equity over time. So let's go ahead and get into it, right? Again, I want to make sure that we understand inconsistent brands don't just confuse customers, consumers, or clients. They cost money, they cost revenue over time. Brand consistency, and I definitely want you guys to take from this the second topic within this series. I want to clarify a lot of misconceptions. Brand consistency and using the same logo, understanding what your color themes are with your quick look brand guide or your comprehensive brand guide. And there needs to be true consistency along your entire structure of your business. What that means is your messaging on your website, in your marketing material, your tone consistency, value proposition, another term that you all need to look into. That is a brand term as well as a business term. Customer experience across touch points and how you're branding, your messaging and your tone also are interjected into your customer experience across each touch point. And then your internal alignment between marketing, sales, and operations. Why does consistency create inconsistency create friction and erodes the trust? Why is that such an issue? Because if I can't trust you in what you're saying to me or how you are going to market with your brand, your messaging, or your tone, then I can't trust in being a buyer on my end. I'm going to be skeptical of purchasing from you because you are inconsistent with your branding and your messaging. I have to trust you. Most businesses have the longevity. in their industry or market and with their customers, clients, or consumers because they feel a trust. That is so important. There are a lot of clients that I have that may skip 2, 3 years, but they always come back because they trust that my products and my services or solutions and my branding and what I am doing in the market, it's not going to change. And it's not. It's been pretty consistent. My branding has been pretty consistent along the time that I have been in business. And my mission and objective with my target audience has been consistent as well. So, how a brand consistency impacts revenue is because you need to connect your brand directly to your financial outcomes. In return, what that will do is shorten the buyer's decision making process. It also builds trust faster, is what I mentioned earlier, especially for service-based businesses. That is so important that you have to build trust and consistency within your brand, but also in within your brand, but within your operations, within your sales pipeline. All of those areas are important. And then it also increases conversion rates and consumer retention. That's some other terms that you all need to look into. Conversions are when you have a lead or someone comes to your website, and based on the experience that they're having with your brand or how they flow through your buyer process within your, the website flow, if they convert from being on your website, then we call that a conversion. If they convert because they have downloaded a piece of material that is a educational or some type of authority-based material, if they convert because of that, that's a conversion as well. And then customer retention, definitely look into that because your customer retention is also going to tie to your brand as well. And then you want to support premium pricing and perceived value. You also want to reduce marketing waste and rework. If you go outside of the norm of your messaging, your tone, your branding, and just the aesthetics of your brand, you're going to have to constantly redo it because you're going into a different target audience. They're looking at your brand and they're going to see that inconsistency. Nobody wants that. Consistency compounds. Every touch point reinforces the last. So you don't want to go out into the market and put something that is not consistent with your brand, your messaging, or your tone, because you're going to have to come right back and rework it, redo it. And it's just a waste of time. And that's what I mean by it costs additional revenue for your inconsistency. And then, where most businesses break the consistency, and they're so small. Oh my goodness, they're so small, but they're so tragic in the long run. Consumers, clients, and customers see this. There are studies and reports that look into the mind of a consumer and how their thoughts, their feelings, their psyche pushes them to purchase. So it's so important. And what they see, what they interact with, whether your messaging changes, and that's depending on also your mood and how you are feeling that day. If you typically have an upbeat personality, but then you're doing a live or you're putting out content, whether it's a blog or whatever it is, and your tone changes, that inconsistency is very noticeable. If you're talking upbeat and loud on one live, but then you're whispering on another live, that's so important that you have to remain that consistency when the messaging changes or when your tone changes and you're talking to your audience. And then when you offer unclear or inconsistent shifting in your products or your services, I have a prime example. There is a young lady. She does great at what she's doing. She has built up positive brand equity, and she is in the hair business, and she is a braider. So, of course, that is a different, target audience. That's a different market, different industry, right? It's in, hair care. She has now transitioned to selling products such as the press-on nails, eyelashes, things that are not consistent with her brand, that is very inconsistent. Yes, some of her existing retained consumers may want those things, but you have to tie your original business objective and your branding into your secondary product. These are considered secondary products. These are considered, now it'd be different if she had like, scarves or products that were good for braid care, things of that nature. That's more in line and consistent with her brand. Now you have an inconsistent secondary product that is probably going to require secondary and segmented target audience. And it's just a lot. That's going to cost additional revenue, and it puts a gap in your brand. So that is a really good example. And I actually just saw that not too long ago. And it's unfortunate because because you have positive brand equity in a service that you're providing, you're under your primary service, you still have to garner additional brand equity for your secondary products. But as long as they coincide with your primary products and your primary brand, and it just makes it a lot easier when you're transitioning. So you all keep that in mind when you start coming out with additional services or products. It needs to tie into your primary one, especially if you've built up positive brand equity. Another thing that viewers definitely pay attention to is your website, social media. And when your sales or your marketing material do not align with your brand, and then I can always tell when there are undocumented brand standards and a messaging framework, because if a potential client cannot tell me what their brand stands for, the pain points that they are solving within their market, who is their target audience, and how are they selling to them, and what is your tone and your messaging that you've identified. If they cannot answer that, then that lets me know that they have undocumented brand standards and a messaging framework, which is important. It also is your foundation. Keep that in mind. It's just like a business plan, but for your branding. And then you go into your marketing strategy, which is a whole other thing. So um, these these aren't necessarily brand failures. They just lead to gaps within your branding. And we don't want the gaps, because then you have to go back and you have to fill in the gaps. Um, and then let's talk about how to build brand consistency intentionally and it not be overwhelming. It's more actionable and it's not overwhelming. You have to establish a clear brand foundation: who you serve, what problem you solve, why you're different. Then create basic brand guidelines. Like I even do, I call them quick look brand guides, where it's not, I've created comprehensive brand guides, which are like 80 pages long, but that's more for organizations. But even if you want to create one where you understand what your logo is, what's the icon, what's your tagline, what are your color schemes, and what are those numbers when you're talking about printing material, so that your brand is consistent across your marketing material that you're printing. What is your copyright terms? And then, what is your typography? What is your imagery that you're going to put on the site that resonates with your target audience? Though that voice, tone, visual guardrails, all of that is important, especially when you go into building your website. You have to ensure that alignment across your website, all of your content. And when you're onboarding, which is a whole other conversation we're going to talk about when we get into the sales part of how your brand transitions into your sales pipeline or into your sales conversions. Consistency is a system. It is not a personality trait. Let's keep that in mind. This is not about who you are as an individual. This is about what you are doing within your market, with your target audience, and the pain points that you are helping them to resolve, and why it resonates with them, what your company personality is. um and how that resonates with the personality of your target audience. So let's talk about sustainability and the tie-in with sustainability, because we definitely in business have to bring back this framework. Consistent brands scale faster with less effort, and then you're able to execute more efficiently. Customers, consumers, and clients become advocates for your brand because it resonates with them, and the business becomes less dependable on the founder itself, and it's more sustainable. Sustainable growth requires predictable brand experiences. Let's say this again. Sustainable growth requires predictable brand experiences. So we're going to cap it here in the sustainability in action, which is the sixth bullet on the screen. And I know it's a lot of information. It definitely is a lot of information, but it is good information to help structure your business for the brand execution. Before anything else, you have to build the foundation, and it's so, so important. So, I invite all of the viewers and everyone that's on YouTube and who has found the topic 2 for our sustainable entrepreneur framework. And I invite you all to come on back. You can visit the blog to download this new series or to watch it on www.lrconsultingent.co, or you can visit our YouTube channel, LR Consulting Firm. And until our third topic, which is going to be your business plan's missing link, a strategic marketing strategy. So that is 3. I'm going to give you a little teaser. That is topic 3. And until then, I'll see you all soon. Take care.